Councilman Dewey, you want to start?
Thank you, Josh. In the next two meetings, we're gonna kind of recap the things that went on for the last 3 years. But before I get started, I wanna make it perfectly clear to everybody in this room and everybody in this township that this council is not against development. We want the right development. And in the past, there was deals made. We just heard shortly that they were verbal. This deal with the Horizon, when they came in, and I called it a dog and pony show, when they presented the new grocery store and the stores and the Wawa, they guaranteed us a grocery store. And as of right now, there's no grocery store, but there's a possible Tractor Supply. And when I was in the room when they presented it, and the whole town, everybody that was in this building was clapping, gave a standing ovation, is that correct? Right? Well, now there's no grocery store, and we're coming down to the end. And our feeling is, we're not gonna agree on it until they have a signed contract with a grocery store, because that's what they promised our town. Okay, so I wanna make it perfectly clear that we are not against development, but we're just tired of getting screwed by developers that come in this town with prior deals. Does that make sense? And everything that we're doing is in the town's interest. We all live in the town, we all pay taxes, but we can do better than this, okay? So that's where I'm at. So some of the things to recap, when Josh and I first got in, you know, we had our three other people on the council, they were Democrats. I think we got along pretty good.
What are you looking at me for?
All right, and you know, I feel that we got along good. We got some things accomplished. We had some things that we couldn't get accomplished, but we lived with it. But one of the things that we did was, we started the AAC, and that's the Agriculture Advisory Committee. And thank goodness that we did it. Because one of our things were, you know, we were against warehouses, and that was our promise. Well, two warehouses come up, and they were waiting for the vote to get it started, and I made the comment, I should have said we made the comment, was it never went through the AAC. And it went through the AAC, and the outcome was the farm got preserved, and there's no warehouses there. But that was something that we fought for in the beginning to start it. It was on our master plan, and it was never done 14 years ago, but we got the AAC started. And it's a tool that we need to preserve our farms. Once you destroy a farm for a warehouse, you can never get it back. It's lost, and it's our heritage, okay? Especially myself, being born and raised here, I love this town, and the only reason I ran, I was retired. I should have had my head checked, but to see my town that I grew up in be destroyed, you know, it was a beautiful resort, and it was a lot of people that came in here with ideas, and they're the ones that screwed it up. I mean, the place was absolutely beautiful, and you can't unring the bell, but we're trying to move the football forward to turn this town around the way it used to be. We can't make it 100% the way it was because of things that got destroyed. But I'll tell you what, we're gonna put a dent in it and make Pemberton Township nice again. All right, thank you. Yep, that's good.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just a few, announcements here. Make sure everybody comes out, this Saturday night. it's gonna be our tree lighting, at 6 p.m. Earlier, the tag is running, photos with Santa from 11 to 2, I believe it is, at the Country Lakes Firehouse. And then after the tree lighting is movie night at the Country Lakes Firehouse. On December 8th at the Senior Center, the Rancocas Watershed Restoration Protection Plan, they're going to have a seminar at the Senior Center at 6:30 p.m. If anybody has any issues with stormwater flooding in your areas, they're looking to hear about that from people, and they're trying to put together a plan to see what they can do to help with any stormwater problems that are around either by the lakes or on your streets and stuff like that. So come out and talk to those people. One of the things, as Mr. Dewey said, we're trying to highlight some stuff. This year we formed the Economic and Development Committee, which we thought was a good thing. So far they've been pushing along. They've started working on a plan to clean up and fix the area down by the dam, repaint the bridge, and put new lighting up in there. I think it's almost out of the engineering phase, and it'll probably be going out to bid in the spring, and hopefully we'll see things happen down there with the bridge all redone and some new lights. One of the things on our agenda tonight that we're probably going to glaze over, Resolution 237, 2025. I know some of these past meetings we complained about grants and how long they take to get completed and stuff. Well, this is a real lesson in how to get one completed in a timely manner. I'd like to thank all the people that were involved. I know Rosemary Flannery took the ball. We were getting ready to lose this grant because time was running out. She repurposed it, got together with a bunch of the other directors and employees, and they put together a list of things that their different departments needed. And from start to finish, in less than 8 months, it was repurposed. All the departments got all their equipment, and tonight we're going to finalize it. That's how you take care of grant projects. Get them done quickly as possible. And I'd like to thank all the employees that were part of getting that done. It was really a good thing. And hopefully everybody's getting ready for the Christmas holidays. And hope to see us all out at the Christmas tree lighting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Doyle?
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say congratulations to the 5 recruits that we have going in. This is it's a proud moment for me. I'm really happy to see our police department grow. That's one of the things when I came in here that I wanted to do my best to try to make sure we see, because you guys deserve nothing but the best. My tenure there as a police officer, I saw too many people drive into this town and just absolutely take advantage of it because it's only Pemberton Township. You guys deserve better, and that's a very good start right there. Secondly, I don't mean to piggyback Mr. Dewey, but I too was at the meeting when New Horizons came in. This place was packed. And for me to see, I live on the west end of town. I don't live in Browns Mills, but that doesn't mean I don't care about what happens to that part of town as well. I've got close friends. I've developed over a 25-year career here, and I've got family all over the town, and what happens out there makes a difference to me. And I am not going to see you guys sold short. You gave a standing ovation because we were finally getting a grocery store. That was number one on everybody's list. I had to keep my mouth shut while I still had a career here, because unfortunately bullseyes are painted. And then as I started to open my mouth, once I retired and I could speak my mind and not have to worry about retaliation, things came to light. I will not sell you guys short on what you want. You have a developer came here, said we were going to have a grocery store, whatever else we're going to put in there, perfectly fine. But there were 4 items, and the biggest one you guys were keying on is a grocery store. I am not comfortable giving the developer a go-ahead when they promise you 100% and then come to the table at 50%. You guys deserve better. You put me in this seat to care about you, and I heard you loud and clear when you put me here. Okay, the other thing you put me here for, we stood on no warehouse development. We're gonna do our best to shut it down. We don't need it. And I feel like I keep going back to it, but it's a perfect example. We have one in town, and it provides nothing to us, nothing. We were promised 100 jobs. 100 jobs. Raise your hand if you work there. I don't see any. Raise your hand if you know somebody that works there. Unless you're from outside the country, we did the math, guys, when it came to the planning board. When you have that few parking spaces and that many square feet, something's not right. So the 15 passenger vans come in, and it only takes 5 to bring in 60 workers. Okay? And I'm gonna make an example of a fantastic new business we have here in town. You have KB Bagels. Absolutely over the moon, fantastic company. If you're gonna give a tax break to a company that comes here, that's the kind of establishment I want to see get a tax break. How about for the first year a company like that steps in, we give them 15% off their taxes to help them get started. Maybe the second year, let's bump it up, okay? They're a little bit established, we'll hit them for 75% the second year. Then maybe the third year, after we give them 2 years of a good head start to try to put everything in there that they can in their investment. They have kids working there from inside town, adults working there from inside of town, giving them a good start on life and how to deal with people. On the other side of town, what do you have? You have a 500,000 square foot concrete box that provides us nothing. With break out your calculators, $480,000 a year is what they're paying in taxes. Over a 30-year period, they are given $700,000 tax break per year. 700,000 times 30. That's what we fought against and lost. The other end of Birmingham Road, you got some big, beautiful open spaces. There were going to be 2 more warehouses there. Since Danny and Josh took the helm up here, started the AAC, we are now able to say those warehouses aren't coming. Farmland preserved forever. That's what we ran on, and that's what you put us in these seats for. That's what we're working for. But I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to what I said before. I will not sell you short. 4 or 5 years ago when they came to the table, you said you wanted a grocery store. I am a no until they have a grocery store for you people. That's why you put me here. Thank you.
Alrighty, since Mr. Bianchini is absent tonight, I guess it's my turn next. So I hope everybody first and foremost had a happy Thanksgiving. Seems like everybody did, that's good. And Donovan, it's always good to see you out there in the audience, man. If anybody does know, former Councilman Doug Gardner sat next to me on the left of this dais, and I'll tell you, like Danny said, we agreed on some things, we had some laughs on some things, and we disagreed vehemently on other things, but I'll tell you what, I can honestly say that Donovan always had the best intentions for the township in his mind, so thank you for that, Mr. Gardner, very much, and I mean that sincerely, and I hope everybody here has a great Christmas as well. Leading into that, I'm going to go off what Danny said, and you know, the AAC was a fantastic idea, and it was in the, one of the things when I was running for council, me and Danny looked at, and together with the rest of the council that was up here, including Mr. Gardner, you know, we discussed vehemently, and you know, I think we all came to the consensus that was a good idea, and it did help out a lot. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about stuff I didn't even know. I mean, I came in here with soil samples and you know, growth rates and water and everything else. It was just awesome. It was a huge learning experience. But the other thing that we did was, as a collective on council up here, one of the biggest things, and I'm very proud of, is the Polbridge Development Program site that was shot down. And I've heard a little bit of talk about that over the past month. And I've talked to some constituents, I talked to some other people, and I mean, we packed this place talking about Polbridge. And it was fantastic, you know, to see the community come together like that and in support of our natural resources and our forests on that side of town was tremendous. And when we talked about, when we repealed the Area Needed Redevelopment Program for that site, and I believe now it's going to be preserved, if I'm not mistaken. For the boat, yeah, so that's, and we get, basically, we're gonna get, I think we're probably even gonna get a free well off of it, because there's a well back there now. So I mean, we're gonna benefit from that whole situation, the township will, and long term, so that's always good. I know Harry had mentioned the Business and Economic Development Committee, which, again, as soon as me and Danny proposed that, Donovan was sitting there, he goes, I wanna be a part of that. I wish I could get you on there, man, I really do. Hopefully when we get a seat opened up, somebody will give you a call. What I was disappointed about was, we came this close with the Sustainable NJ program over the past 3 years. And for people that don't know what the Sustainable NJ program is, everybody up here kind of talked about grant money. And that is a huge, huge opportunity, in my opinion, for this township moving forward, is the Sustainable NJ. And Christine Black, who's in charge of our environmental committee, does a fantastic job with that group. And I urge all the time that her and our community development director need to get together with council and solidify this super important, in my opinion, Sustainable NJ program to get those funds coming into the township. That is very, very important and very low-hanging fruit, and I'd like to see that happen this year, coming up if we can. Also, in conjunction with the, maybe even grow the environmental committee into becoming a shade tree committee as well, and protecting helping protect our natural resources that are out there is a huge accomplishment. Finally, in talking about the the elephant in the room with the old Acme site, I tend to agree with my colleagues. The first thing I said, and I'll speak as I for a second. Let me take, because I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I know Danny was there when we got sworn in, and we said business is open in the township, and we want correct and proper development. And I think we had a consensus with the council at the time in regards to Mr. Dietrich and Mrs. McCartney, who sat up here with us. We don't want to make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again in the township. Danny's lived here his whole life. I've lived here, fortunately, my whole life, between Pemberton Borough and Pemberton Township. And you see, growing up I was a kid, but let's be honest, but, you see the mistakes happen. And you want to be able to correct those mistakes and move the township forward and learn and live from your mistakes. I will say that, on this same aspect, Vicky came up here before the council meeting and said, well, you talk about transparency and transparency and transparency. And one thing I can tell you is, and I hope that people from the school board are listening. I had very, very, very excellent educators in Pemberton Township in regards to civics, political science, and I can name them all. Mr. Farner was fantastic. I'm going to draw a blank, and I'm going to leave people out, but it's Mr. Dugan, Coach Dugan, who coached the basketball team for a long time. I mean, all those people in that history department, we need to get political science and history back, teaching our kids on a daily basis what it means to sit up here on council. And one of those big things that, it was so fun to work with Donovan on the Business and Economic Development Committee, because what I pushed for was a seat for one of our students. And I got pushback from the school board on that. They said, somebody came in here, I forget who it was, and said, we don't want to be involved. Why wouldn't you want to have our students and our children involved in this process and take stakeholdership and ownership and move this township forward, and again, not repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I think everybody up here, and Matt, if he was here, would probably agree with me and say the same thing. And we've made very, very big strides. But I mean, if there's no grocery store there, that's a lose-lose situation for this township. It really is. And to have to wait for 36 months for them to figure it out, or 3 years, that's not acceptable. We need to have somebody, we need to find and utilize our resources to find a developer that can come in here, if necessary, with a grocery store for this township to give some relief. Bottom line. And that's what I wholeheartedly believe. So, I'll get off my soapbox there, and we'll get into public comments here unless anybody else has anything. Good? Okay. All right. Number 8, public comments. Please come up, state your name. As before, I always said, please look to your left, look to your right before you come up here. Say hi to your neighbors. Treat everybody with respect and dignity when you come up to the dais, please. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is John Archer. I live at 110 Salvia Street in Browns Mills.
Hello, Mr. Archer.
I have a relationship with the guys that are trying to put that plaza in up there. They worked very hard on it. They tried very long, and they had 2 years. It was 2 years that they had a grocery store signed up, ready to go in that place. But 2 years is a long time. And they waited and waited and waited for mainly for approvals from this extended body, whatever you want to call it. And they didn't get it. They didn't get it, they didn't get it, they didn't get it. Now, I know there's a lot of things about this. Let me say it this way, it's been an eyesore for years. Now, finally, we got a chance to have it removed, and in its place, new buildings put up there. The whole thing was gonna be removed and it was gonna be redeveloped. The sign on the side there was, I told them they had to put that up there because we wanted to see what we were getting. The tax benefit could be amazing in the future. Particularly, I would appreciate it as most of the residents would in this town. I know taxes are something we haven't got a lot of coming in, and we don't have a lot of income coming in. And I don't know why that is, but where's the income? All these new things, all I heard about a new thing was a bagel shop. Now, you can't tell me a bagel shop's gonna support this town. I'm sorry, you gotta have many bagel shops. After the stores that are being proposed, they'll need employees to operate them, more so than the big box, whatever it is out there on Bainbridge. You're gonna need them, and it's gonna creation of jobs for people in this area, and a bonus for everybody. We have been messing around with this plan for 3 years now. I know it takes time to do these things. It's time we get this done and start collecting tax revenue and upgrading the eyesore that it was there now. I just can't understand why this thing took 2 years, because I know every store was ready to go and signed. They had signed agreements there. But after 3 years, the guy says, hey, wait a minute, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We put our money over in Medford, I think. Grocery Outlet did that. They had Grocery Outlet coming in here. That was a new store. That was a great store to come in here. They were gonna come in. No questions, no nothing. They had it signed up, ready to go. What happened? 2 years happened, that's what happened. 2 years waiting and waiting and waiting, and they didn't get it. I'm sorry. Oh. Sign my name.
Marty Grafwenger, 1502 South Lake, and president of the BMIA. Good evening, town council members, residents, and mayor. First, I want to address the recent cancellation of the Great Berry Bake Off due to the unfortunate power outage. I hope everyone has seen the rescheduled date, which is January 2nd, which is a Friday night. We're going to start at 6 p.m. and we're doing something crazy this time. A doubleheader featuring both a chili cook-off and a bake-off on the same night. Yes, we are. We invite everyone to come by and enter your chili and or berry dessert into the contest, where you can win some seriously good prizes, including bragging rights. John Mackey, the culinary instructor from the high school, will be our esteemed judge for the evening, so get your taste buds ready. This Friday at 7 p.m. is our 80s dance party. You don't have to dress up in 80s fashion, but let's be honest, it will be funny if you did. and it'll be a great time filled with music and nostalgia. We do have a drawing for a basket and a basket giveaway, and we do have free food for BMIA members. I'd also like to share a bit about the BMIA Make It Again Meals initiative that we've been working on. This program is designed to help families access nutritious meals in an affordable way. By providing easy to follow recipes and sourcing low cost ingredients, we can empower families to cook healthy meals at their homes. As grocery prices continue to rise, this initiative not only alleviates financial strain, but also fosters pride in being able to prepare homemade meals for loved ones. We are currently collecting Make It Again meals, and we ask that they be brought to the BMI building during our 80s dance party this Friday night. If you can't make it but still want to donate meals, please text me at 609-388-1305, and I will send one of our elves for a porch pickup. These meals will be available on the weekend of December 13th and 14th at the Coupon Clip It Club's Toy Drive. I encourage all BMIA members to volunteer on December 14th at 11:30 a.m. to help families pick up toys for their children. And if you're interested in getting a recipe card, I do have some with me here tonight, and you can just come see me after the meeting and I'll give you cards. And they're very easy, and most ingredients are available at the Dollar Tree in town, or we like Walmart too for low prices. Additionally, I want to remind everyone about our Passport to Worldly Cuisine dinner happening on January 24th at 5 p.m. This popular event invites everyone to bring a cooked meal representing their heritage so we can all enjoy a diverse culinary experience. The rule of thumb is to make enough for your family and then one extra serving. The BMIA board members and officers will supply the salad, the rolls, the butter, and dessert to complement our shared meals. Last year was a huge hit, and it's wonderful to reconnect with many friends. I also want to bring to light a new piece of business on the agenda regarding the proposed purchase for the 2025 DPW uniforms from Totally T-shirts in the amount of $18,282.10. Our BMI membership has raised several questions about this expenditure. They are as follows: how many T-shirts are being purchased? How many individuals are employed by the Department of Public Works? And what does this total come to per person? As advocates for the community, the BMIA believes it is essential to ensure transparency in spending and that the funds allocated serve our community's best interests. We appreciate any additional details regarding this purchase that can be shared with the public. Understanding these details will help address the concerns of our membership. Lastly, we are currently working on the BMIA wish list to be presented at the first council meeting of 2026. We invite all BMIA members to contribute by texting or emailing us your ideas. The phone number for texting is 609-388-1305, or you can email us at bmiaorg@gmail.com. We have received several entries for the wish list so far, but we would love to hear more from you. What would you like to see in the town? How would you like our tax dollars to be spent? We will advocate for the top 10 entries on the wish list, ensuring they're brought to the attention of the council. I want to take a moment to congratulate the town council for accomplishing so much from our wish list last year. Almost all 10 items were achieved, and we couldn't be happier. Nearly all the council members reached out to the BMIA personally, and I appreciate that. It's wonderful when community organizations and the town council can work so effectively together. That's all for now. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Mr. President, if I may. Marty, on those Totally T-shirts?
Yes.
They're not just T-shirts, they're uniforms for the jackets.
Oh, so like jackets
That
and
is-
pants and everything?
It's
Because our
contractual.
membership looks at the agenda and they're like,
Right.
T-shirts for $18,000?
No, it's contractual by their union contracts that we supply them with uniforms and stuff, so. Yep, it's all the, yep.
Okay, so jackets, pants, and coveralls and all that kind of
Shirts,
stuff.
yeah, I don't think any coveralls, but jackets, pants, sweatshirts, yeah.
Thank you for the info.
They did go out for bid on that. They put out, they requested bids from 4 companies.
Good.
We got 2 responses. One response was for $24,000. Another one was for 18. And the 18 is actually from a local company. And the numbers, Carhartt short sleeve, moisture wicking, 7 medium, 13 large, 19 extra large, 7 2X. And then there's about double that number for the safety green. And then we're looking at pocket t-shirts, sweatshirts, thermal lined, clothing, middle class, 3 hoodies. And then there's another lightweight, wet sweatshirts and then hooded sweatshirts.
Good, that's very good
So
information.
that's what we, and it's for the whole department, and I think it's, God, I wanna say 80 people, but I could be wrong.
Okay, thank you.
How many? 80? How many people?
Well, I'm probably wrong, so I'm not sure.
How's everybody doing tonight? Well, I'll tell you later. Long story. All right, first and foremost, I wanted to congratulate the police officers that were sworn in. It's always great to see our police force grow in size and not shrink. On the agenda, I want to talk about Resolution 315. My question for that one is, how many refunds are we going to be doing for the overpayment of taxes? 329, 2025. Did we add? How much did we add to the employee handbook for the 2025 edition? 330. I said yes to. What is it? Oh, that's. Oh, you weren't joking to release 2 inches. My question is for 331. Is that the playground that this grant is going to be covering for the 250,000?
It's 100.
It's 100. Oh, okay. 332. My question is, how much is the renewal going to be, and how many different townships participate in this agreement? My next question is for 334. I think $168,000 is a lot of money for ripping out what looks to be perfectly good fence over there, other than maybe a few bad sections. How much would it be to just replace the sections that are bad? Because I don't think $168,000 for ripping it out and putting brand new in is kind of the best way to use our money. 334, my question is, and I think we answered this. This is for Public Works, right? The water. So all the departments. Okay. 335. My question is, how many properties are on the list to have liens put on them? My next question is for 336. What exactly is going on with 100 PBM Road? Are we voting yes for this or no for this? Or, I mean, I understand you guys are a no vote for the no shopping center, but is there a way that they can bring a shopping center in, like an Aldi's, or?
They want the deal, they better.
So, what's the time frame for that? You know, are we giving them a time frame? You know, 3 months, 6 months, next week, Christmas? I don't know. I mean, 337. My question is, how much is the payment going to be for the final grant payment? Said yes to all the new business. I want to know how much the bill list is. And Alex Costa's questions and statements. I know it's your favorite part of the meeting, especially in the back there. I know they all love it. I know at the last meeting I had asked if the issue of the complex time issue had been resolved by the labor attorney. I was told by the solicitor that he would get back to me. Well, do we have a resolution to this matter? I don't know if Joe talked to you about that.
He did not, sir.
So I don't know if there was an update, if the labor attorney got back to you guys.
Why don't you ask me the question that you asked Joe? Maybe I can answer for you now.
Did the labor attorney get back to us on a resolution to solve the problem of the complex time that was?
The answer to that is no.
No?
I sent the Labor Council a letter suggesting as a result of the conference that we had with
Your mic.
council.
Can you put
Excuse
your
me?
mic on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A letter is sent to the Labor Council requesting that the review as a result of a meeting that the council mayor had during private session when the issue came up about flexible pay. I've not heard anything from Labor Council at this point.
All right. My next question is, where are we at on hiring a business administrator? I don't see one next to the mayor, so I'm assuming we're still looking, or maybe we have one that's being interviewed now, I'm not too sure. The next question, and this is a series of questions. I've now heard that an employee has been dropped from our insurance policy effective next year, beginning on January 1st. My question is, when was the municipality officially notified that JIF plans on dropping the employee? And in the letter, did they list any reasons? If the employee remains uncovered, who becomes financially responsible for legal expenses, damages in the event of a lawsuit or lawsuits that are filed against the employee in his official capacity? And my last question is, does the inability to provide liability coverage for an elected official affect the employee's ability to execute official duties, such as signing contracts or acting on behalf of the municipality? So I think those could be good for you to answer if you have an answer. If not, I don't want to see you run away.
We won't roll.
Oh, good. All right, who wants to take a crack at the egg?
All right.
10 houses for board ups,
Are they all in one general area, or are they all scattered around?
scattered through Brownsville. You know, I don't know if to repose or, you know, it was cleaning yards and boarding up houses.
Right. All right.
And the liens will go against the property, so when it's ever foreclosed on, will be paid back with interest.
All right. Any notable changes in your employee handbook? Just add a few sentences here or there. I know you showed me it's 2 inches thick. Nothing too exciting?
And we got it Friday.
Oh, you got it Friday? Oh,
I never saw the original one, so, but I mean, there's things there I think personally that should change.
your mic.
You're right.
I don't know what the changes are, cause I never saw a handbook since I've been here. Okay, so, I read a lot of it, there's some things I agree and there's some things I disagree, and we're gonna discuss it later on.
All right. You answered 331. That's 100,000, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just for the park.
Yes, it's for Blueberry Mountain Park, yes.
All right.
230 or 337, I can tell you that was $234,000 in grant money that we spent, and we don't owe anybody anything.
All right. What about the renewal of the memberships for mutual aid? How many, is that all of Burlington County?
I believe that's a countywide.
That's countywide.
System, they do it yearly or every 5 years, I'm not sure what, but, yeah.
All right.
So
Like I
it's-
said, if we had a catastrophe,
In Pemberton Township, you depend on mutual aid, people from all over the county will come here to Pemberton Township and assist us. And it's the same thing if we get
We go
called out
there,
to
yeah.
Del Rand.
Right.
Okay.
Alex, I can give you an example of what that symbolizes.
Oh, sure.
Okay, when I was on duty, there was a shooting situation in a particular section of town. There's 6 officers on duty in Pemberton Township. When that call goes out and 6 officers arrive on the scene and there's 200 people there screaming and yelling, that's a huge safety factor. Mutual aid is a lifesaver across the county, across the state, across the nation. It's people in particular situations when a catastrophe or an unfortunate situation occurs, people across the county with the same expertise that those have that in dealing with it can all come together. They establish a command center, structures set up, and situations are handled. It is a lifesaver, not only for police, for everybody, anybody involved.
I know what incident you're talking about.
On the ball field, Alex,
Yeah, the ball field.
we're gonna be in discussion with that.
Okay.
It's gonna be a work in process, and we were gonna do absolutely the best that we can for the children to make the field right and get some batting cages in, and, but we're not wasting $168,000 on that ball field.
Well, that doesn't make sense to rip out perfectly good
You know,
fence.
we're gonna be meeting with the reps from the ballpark, and, there was some things brought to our attention, and we're gonna be investigating that. There was, I think 5 years ago, there was a resolution to install batting cages, and there was an approval on it, and they never got it, and we're gonna be investigating that, and we'll see what happens, but we're gonna do the very best for the kids of this town.
Anything on 336, or you guys gonna just leave? Okay. Do you know how much the bill list is?
2.5, I believe it was.
1.8 of it is, school board.
Well, they gotta get their cut. It's for the children.
14.
You answered the flex time question, so thank you for that. The business administrator? Nothing? Oh. What about the JIF insurance? Figured you might
I'm not gonna confirm or deny
confirm or, okay,
at this time. There may be some legal ramifications for that.
okay. So, thank you, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
I didn't think that.
Hello, councils, Amy and Mrs. Silicon. I had a chance to work with you. I remember the first time I saw on YouTube, I said, "Oh, Andy's back." Just a similarity, okay? Huh? I was watching from the
You can
camera.
see too much of his body.
Anyway, the last time I was up here, there was two things I want to clear up. But I just want to say one thing before I get into that is, from the last time I came up here, I don't do publicity stunts. I just come up and speak my truth and how things are. All right. Next one is, well, the clear up is when I said there was 2 scout leaders that didn't help with help Ms. Adams with the recall of Jack. I want to correct that. There was one, and she did come up and speak most of the time about what's going on with Jack. And the second one I didn't get a chance to finish up was the fact that Township didn't raise their taxes, which is good, but it's bad. You shouldn't have bought pumps when pump cavitates, because right now with no tax increase, there's a little engine that's running in the background. It's called inflation. And if the taxes go up like 2 cents, 10 cents, that would kind of help relieve some of the taxes next year. Because next year, with no taxes raised this year, what's going to be the outcome for next year to feed that engine of inflation? The next one is, points one to Mr. Dewey. I'll call him the bill list king, because everything on that bill list, he scrubs through it. So my question is to you, Mr. Dewey, is I got Oprah on the bill list from January to July, and at the time I was doing some estimated calculation, the Dasty Foundation or law firm had a bill of over $700,000, and that was up until June. So my question to you is, what is it now? And there's things on there that went to the Dasty firm. What I caught my attention was, the bill list was detailed what Mr. Dasty was doing for the township, but there was some on there that was listed as Pemberton miscellaneous, 2,000, 3,000, 1,000, this, that, and other, but there was nothing, no explanation for it. I'm surprised you let that go by you, unless you know what it was for, the Pemberton miscellaneous.
I don't know what it is. There's so many litigations and there's so many.
Microphone?
There's so many litigations and lawsuits, and I know, code enforcer department has got a lot of liens against rundown properties, and I can get you the answer.
Well, it's not for me, it's for everybody that wants to know, because, you know, when it's listed as Pemberton miscellaneous, and 2,000, 1,000, and the rest of the bill listed is so detailed, and my only conclusion goes back to what it says prior litigation with the mayor. So my question, unfortunately, Mr. Dassey's not here anymore, rest his soul, but, was that amount being charged to the township to represent, the mayor? That was just my question, because when you see everything that's listed, and then Pemberton miscellaneous, and then all these numbers associated with it with no explanation.
He could have been reading papers from other attorneys, you know, with the JIF and everything. Do you have any extra papers?
Well, if you show me what you have, I'd be happy to take a look at it. I can tell you that as a miscellaneous, there are certain categories under which billing is made. So a miscellaneous is a general category, but miscellaneous has its own itemization for the charges spent, the hours spent, and the charges. So miscellaneous is just a category. It may be $2,000 miscellaneous, but it delineates the time that was spent to arrive at that dollar amount.
I got that.
Sometimes it's called general, sometimes it's called miscellaneous. There are certain billable files where it's billed by a particular topic, but when there's no particular file or topic, and it's just, we categorize it as miscellaneous, it might be a telephone conference with the mayor regarding various matters, or with the township clerk, or with the public works director, or whatever. It would be charged under a miscellaneous file, but it's itemized. So telephone conferences, review of correspondence and documents would show the affiliate time with that particular charge.
Okay, like I said, I get it, but it was the rest of the bill that's from, Public Works, everybody is so detailed listed. Except, one example I just took was, if you go to the March 27 bill list, you'll see a Pemberton miscellaneous for $2,619, and they're all over the bill list for.
That should be itemized. I'd have to have that particular bill pulled out to take a look to see what comprised that $2,000
Yeah,
charge.
but that was just one example, of March 27. The rest of the months is listed as Pemberton miscellaneous, a huge dollar amount behind with no explanation.
Right.
Next item is the end of the year is coming up. I would like for each council member, if possible, to give like what happened this year, what's your future plans for next year. I know you guys are all right in transparency, so here's the time to be transparent. And I hope you guys are transparent with the positive stuff you're doing, the things you want, the revenues you're trying to bring in town. You guys are, I'm not gonna say hell-bent, but hell-bent on stopping warehouses. But my thing is, what revenue sources are gonna help to replace that? The whole bagel shop was a great analogy when the person said it, but we all have, in this town, there's pizzas, there's Chinese food, and it's like that. And the large industry, the large revenue services, those what I call the mom and pop, they're great for the township as far as business and employment, but they won't cover some of our expenses. So if you guys can like what we're gonna do, so we can know what's gonna happen for next year. Also for Josh, which you're gonna pass to Mr. Bianchini, that I don't know if you realize, but Jack is required to give you end of year report, like a state of union basically, and no softball-ish type topics, what happened this year, what's planned for the township next year, because even though he's got whatever he's got going on, he's still the mayor, and he needs to produce and, do positive things for this town, especially when it comes to revenue and future projections and plans. Not short-term, because short-term is what hurt industries and businesses, long-term, because those things come back and bite you later on. Hope to finish up real quick. One question, why is the council comments at the beginning? I'm just curious. Is it better for you guys, or? Because if, we're talking now, and you're not gonna talk later at the end to say, well, here's your answer to this question and that question.
We wanted to get, at the beginning of the meeting, to let them know what's going on.
Okay.
And what we're planning or what we did. And this way here, when they get up for the comments, they have an idea what we're doing and what we've done, and then they can ask us questions.
So the format changed, like I'm speaking now, you can ask my question while I'm speaking, is that so there's no comments at the end,
Yeah,
basically?
we're just trying to make it better and smoother for the taxpayers.
Okay.
And historically, Donovan, as you well know, when you were up here, these meetings run 3.5 hours. By the time we get our chance to respond to things that happened during the meeting or things that were done in public comment, there's 6 people out here.
That is true, but guess what? They can always go back home and listen to it, which I used to do also. And I'm still doing, catching YouTube every once in a while. 2 more things. The agendas, I do like a quick check. There's a lot of what I call fluff stuff in the agenda. Nothing with teeth for the township as far as revenue and this and that, you know, the usual, pay this person, pay that, but nothing fluff, nothing is coming in on that. Again, the whole Acme delayed opening, don't know what happened, but if you could just kind of resolve that, cause like Josh, like you and me, I'm for that, other shopping center, market. You know, and not to give Acme a run for the money, but you need a choice, and that way prices can be stable, better quality, and more accessibility to things. And the new handbook, is there a way to make sure everybody sees it, and if there's major changes in there, let them be aware, because 2023, one person didn't read the handbook or didn't sign something, so that's what we are right now, because they didn't, read or sign it. And that's basically it.
All right, good, you're out of time.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm just playing with you, Don.
I know, you know.
Yeah. I'll try to answer, you know what, you brought up some very good points, and you always do. So I'm gonna try to address some of them. And if I get off topic or if I'm missing one, you let me know, because there was a couple of them. Number one, well, I'll start off with the mayor's address. I wholeheartedly agree with you that needs to happen. Unfortunately, I stepped down as council president in March because my business, I started a new business, it was successful, so now I'm doing 2 full-time jobs, and I just couldn't give council the time it needed at that point in time to continue as council president. So I can't speak for Mr. Bianchini because he's not here as to why that we didn't hold Jack's feet to the fire there. Probably I can say
So
he didn't
it's not a
speak.
year yet, so you.
Yeah, he didn't speak to anything, right, on the
No,
budget.
that was our turn.
Yeah. You know, but it was the way the budget was introduced this year, as you can appreciate and understand, since there wasn't actually, you're right, there was no tax increase. So it was just an adoption of, and then just roll into, but there should have been some comments, you know, on that, in that point of impact with the township in regards to the executive branch of the government in the township. I agree. You know, on that same concept, I think we did a good synopsis of what happened, but positives moving forward, man, I'll tell you. I have, and I didn't mention this under council comments, I have started up, and I think we're all gonna hop on the bus here and reinstitute the town hall meetings throughout the township. I really don't wanna let a lot of the cats out of the bag at that point in time for those meetings coming up. But there is some positives that, like I said before, with the Sustainable NJ program, I'm wholeheartedly behind that program 100%. I think we need to move that program forward, and it's a benefit for the township. As far as businesses for the township, smart growth is, you talked about short-term, right? Short-term, decisions versus long-term commitments. And I think that's what council up here is discussing and talking about when we say, hey, we want it, I'm glad to hear you agree, we want a grocery store in the township. That's important, for everybody's pocketbooks. Inflation being what it is, I wish I could grab Trader Joe's by the horn and move Trader Joe's over here, or something to the likes of that, and get them in here. But I think there's so many times that we've, even in the course of the past, 3 years, that we made decisions and said, hey, you know what, we're gonna throw spaghetti up on the wall and see if it sticks. And there were some things that worked with, and then some things that didn't work in that regards. And, as far as who who we're bringing in, I think you need a crystal ball, right?
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of those catch-22 questions. And I think with the Business and Economic Development Committee, working with community development in the right fashion, as Harry was speaking about. I haven't been to one of their meetings yet, so I don't know what's in the works, but I know Roe has some stuff that is quite honestly in the works. I was a big supporter of the Tractor Supply. I'm not a big supporter of where they want to put it, but I know I was a big supporter of that Tractor Supply. Coming into the township, I think that drives business, and Tractor Supply being a vendor. I'm not saying everybody, Michelle, don't get mad at me. I'm just teasing. I'm just using you for an example. I love you. No, what I want to say is, I don't think it's a smart move to put it in the old Acme Shopping Plaza. I think it's a smart move to put it somewhere else, right? Now you're talking about 65 jobs, right? 65 long-term jobs for the township community, right? That people may have to be able to get an Uber to drive to, and if we don't have Ubers in town, maybe that generates a whole nother industry. You know, I created a business, I live in the township. I created a business this year, my business is thriving. I wish I could hire, and I'm probably gonna have to hire more people next year, and I'm actually looking for a photo guy or video guy, if you know anybody, but, right? But anyway, it is, you know, it was funny that, I guess, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I sat up here, one meeting, and I said, the United States as a country has a problem with single-family housing. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I said it a bunch of times, and everybody's kind of like chuckled at me. They said, well, no, that's not true, right? And it was out in the community, and I had to fight my case at my town hall meetings when I said that. And then guess what? You know, a month ago on the national television, you sit there and watch, and they go, oh, we got a huge single-family housing problem. There's not enough, you know, and everybody said, no, you're crazy, Josh, that's absolutely not true. You know, we talked about Pole Bridge in the 55-plus community that we got shot down. Good. You know why? Because I'd rather see that developer, even now that it's gonna get preserved, okay, albeit the same, but I'd rather see a developer come in here and work, and I've always said this, within the lines of the law, and do a 1-by-1, a single-family house on a 1-acre lot in the Pinelands, which is allowed, and sell it. I would love that. You know what I mean? You have 55-plus communities, and we've had this discussion before, and we agree to disagree, but you have, let's say, keep the math simple, 555-plus community houses that are coming in here. The average age is over 65. They come in, they freeze their tax rates. They're military veterans, albeit aside, and I love military veterans, I'm one of them, okay? But then they sit there and they start getting 70% off, 40% off their taxes, 50% off their tax. Great program, New Jersey never understood how to pay for it, but that's not our problem, and we're a municipality, so we have to abide by it, right? So I'd rather see single-family independent ratepayers, to answer your other question about taxes, come in here and pay full rate taxes, right? And not cause such a burden on every other taxpayer in the township. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying I'm against 55-plus. I'm not saying I'm against equal housing opportunities. I'm not saying anything like that. I just think that, you know, when it comes to the tax rate, do we really need to raise taxes this year? I mean, look, let's be honest. We didn't raise taxes last year. Everybody cried, oh my goodness, you know, the moon's gonna fall out of the sky, you know? And then all of a sudden council got it done, and the moon didn't fall out of the sky. And we have a mediocre I won't use the word surplus, but we do have additional funds that and you can appreciate on council because we adopted the what is it, that, where you can hold over on the taxes, I forget, it's not coming to me right now, but there's, you know, yeah, it was like not a deferred, it was.
Abatement tax.
Yeah, it was not a deferred school tax, it was like
Excuse me, Josh.
you get to keep your taxes over and then put it away.
Cap.
Cap bank, yeah.
I don't wanna take away some time, but well, thanks for the answer. If you wanna reach out to me, let me know.
I would love to, I got your number still.
Yeah, and, just one thing, for the next meeting, if you can, just find out what those miscellaneous are. What the Pemberton miscellaneous is, and I'll quote a famous person in this room right now that says, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Mrs. Phillips.
Thank you, Don.
Took more than 5 minutes.
So I don't
Just
forget
follow
this
you.
time around, I'll write in there. Joe Fallon, 32 Clubhouse Road. I had come in here this evening, and coincidentally, you all have touched on a number of the items I wanted to talk about. One happened to be the warehouse situation. And knowing that's a disaster, what I wanted to know is, have we put something into place formally that will prevent this from occurring
in the future, because it repeats. You all have talked about how long you've lived in the township. And I just did a quick math, and I've probably been here in total 60 years. And I spent some time on the Environmental Commission. So I've seen what happens. The hotel next to the Wawa, before it was built, we walked that property. So I've seen the mistakes, not all of them, but I've heard enough. And by the way, before anything, this is not a reflection on any of you up there, because that's what happens. This moves forward and all of the issues get left for the next group that sit where you are. And we all, as residents, wind up paying for what happens in the past, because it doesn't disappear, it stays with us. The old Acme development that's been kicked around and kicked around and kicked around. I had that as an item. I've said no tractor supply. We won't agree on that, but I've said no. And the reason I say no, one, it's going to put a family business out of business. And I've said that before. I've seen what happens. I had a customer in Trenton, and I've mentioned it before. Blake Hardware was around about 100 years. Home Depot, a mile away. Took them I think it was 4 years. They folded, went out of business. Tractor Supply here doesn't make a whole lot of sense when it's not that far away on 38. Just as a marketing point of view, they're not going to pull anybody from down in Whiting or down from the shore. And we look around right here, and I don't believe we have enough people to support a Tractor Supply. But that's just a personal opinion, and we can disagree about that, and that's what people do. I was glad to see Polebridge go under. That was a disaster waiting to happen, and environmentally and for the water just out there. It was going to be a disaster. The problem, and you all, I don't know that you can handle it, but the problem is when you're gone and the next person is sitting in your seat, they bring whatever they want to the table. Whether they believe the way you all do or not will depend on how this is going to go into the future. The only thing we can do is to stand by our plans that we put in place for development and don't give them exemptions when they come looking. Whether it's, we want to build this development, but we'd like the township to run the water line out to us. Well, no, we don't do that. That's their responsibility. We should not have to help them develop. If they want to develop it, it has to be on their own terms, their bank account, not ours. And that water deal that we went through is an example of what could have happened. So it's a problem that I don't see an easy solution, except we don't give exemptions. We write the plans, we stick to them, and we have enough resolve to say, hey, look, we're not going to pay you to come in here and develop. And I'm in favor of another supermarket, whatever it may be. I go out of town part of the time. I do use the Acme, but I also use ShopRite, and I use Walmart. and Amazon. But in any case, thank you, and I do thank you all for your service up here.
Joe, to answer your one question.
Yeah.
We revamped the master plan this summer, and we presented it for introduction at the last planning board meeting. The next meeting, hopefully, we're gonna have feedback from the town, but we spent a lot of time on it. We put in changes where it's gonna protect our farms. We made things where overdevelopment in certain areas that shouldn't be touched. And, I can't remember everything that we did, but, we've got a lot of good feedback from it. And once, we should, probably maybe the second week in January, it should be all law. So, we did work on that.
Good, good. Thank you.
Didn't we about a year and a half ago also go in and delete some of the areas in need of redevelopment, like up on 206 and North Pemberton Road, and I think we changed
We
some of
shouldn't
the
lose
zoning.
another farm.
Excuse me?
We shouldn't lose another farm, if everything goes through.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Vicki Adams, 613 Sander Drive. I want to thank the council members who answered some of my questions beforehand, so I don't have to ask them now. But there are a couple things, and I also want to thank Alex, because I love when he goes through his list that answers a lot of my questions too. But in a couple of the conversations that were said here has brought up some other concerns of mine. Mainly on 3/29/2025, the Policies and Procedures Manual. Okay. I would recommend that you reword the policy in regards to the flex time to be very understandable and concrete, that there's no give or take in it, okay? Also, I want to know, when we give benefits to other companies, these companies coming in and stuff, is there a policy that the BA or whoever entices them to come in written up so that, okay, well, we as a township agree that we're gonna give 50% tax the first time, 75%, and then 100 and nothing else. And that if they need to do more, that then they then have to present it to council and say, hey, can we adjust this? I have a person that wants to do this and this. Because to me, that would be check and balance. The BA just isn't running off doing his own thing, but there's a check and balance in place. So to me, that's something that should be in the policy, or I don't know, his manual or your, what I'm saying, it's a check and balance, okay? Pardon?
Go ahead, Vicki, I'll answer it.
Okay, so, also, I really like some of the things that Mr. Gardner said, that tends to, transparency. You guys telling us instead of leaving us hanging so that we have our own minds wandering and making things up in our head. Some people don't understand the ins and the outs of things. I spoke with Josh earlier about it, so he understands more than the rest of you about this. But if there is something that you think, well, everybody in this room understands it because they're here every day, the people in the public don't. And then this stirs up more problems in the community, more stuff on Facebook, more questions that not being answered, and just animosity and dissension within the community is how I want to say it. That's why I push so much for transparency, because the more transparent you are and the more you help people understand, then it's like, oh, I get it now. It took me a long time to learn about revenues and all of this stuff and how it all plays out. It took me coming here every day. Well, not everybody can come here every day, okay? So you have to teach it. As you're speaking, you share a little bit each time. That's how you educate, but be transparent at the same time. I'm not saying do it all an hour session on just that subject. I'm saying as you go, share it, okay? I would like to know more, if you could send me the information about the watershed meeting that someone up here was talking about. You said December 8th at the senior center. If you could send that to me on my email or whatever, I would appreciate it. I'd actually like to post that out to the community. I would also like everybody to know that, I have that Pemberton Township News and Meetings Facebook page. It's not just for the Republicans, it's not just for the Democrats, it's for the community. So if you have a fundraiser or you have something, like these meetings, the agricultural meeting and the economic meeting, if I know when they are, I'll put it on there and let the people know. Because that's how, okay, well, maybe they can't come here, but maybe they can go there. And if we know when those meetings are ahead of time, I don't even know when they are. I wish I knew when some of them were. I would like to go to this watershed one because I think it has a big play in what is going on in our township. I'm thinking of my housing area and how the watershed doesn't work, and the sinkholes and stuff like that. So those are my only things. I do want to say one thing about the playground. The fencing, in my opinion, all we have to do there is mend what is gone, because I've been there enough. My grandson plays softball and stuff. That is not a damaged fence that it needs to be completely replaced. So I think that's it. Any remarks?
I have one for you, Vicki. In regards to the development that you brought up, where, who makes these deals, right? So, and Chris is right here next to me, so I'll defer to him. If I get off base, please let me know. But the way it works, it's already here, right? So what happens is, if I'm a developer and I come into the township, right? And I go to the community development office and blah, 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 blah. And I sit down with community development or a BA, which we don't have, or the mayor that's here now, right? And I said, well, this is what kind of business I want to bring in, and this is what I want to do. And they go, okay. And I want a 15-year tax abatement, something like that, or a pilot program. I want to do a pilot program with Pemberton Township, right? Like the warehouse did. They go, oh, okay. So that all gets drafted up, and it does. It gets submitted to council at that point in time, right? I'm missing a couple steps in between, but council ultimately approves those development agreements. That's what council does. So any previous development agreements that have been approved in this township have been approved by the prior councils. And it's up to council, like you said, to educate themselves and read through the development agreement, right? And go, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't work for me. And I do this a lot, right? So like, in regards to the Pole Bridge, I'll use Pole Bridge because I worked really hard with a bunch of other people, on Pole Bridge, right? Well, I had to investigate, what the water draw was in that area, right? And basically plead my case to the community on that whole thing. And ultimately, redevelopment agreements are like that were going on, in my opinion, were just horrible. They're horrible ideas, right? If you declare an area in need of redevelopment, and you utilize it, and there's like several different statutes in the area need of redevelopment agreement, and it gets misused. I'll say misuse is the polite word, right? So what happens is, all you have to do in this township, and I've said this a million different times before, is because we're a UEZ, Urban Enterprise Zone, and that's been addressed and adjusted, okay? So all they had to do was qualify under one specific clause in the redevelopment agreement. And then they can do whatever they want in that area in need of redevelopment. They can sit there and go, oh, well, we're gonna designate this as an area in need of redevelopment, and all the rules that constitute for everybody else kind of get thrown out the window. And I'm using layman's terms here, but it's pretty much, it's what happens, okay? And that's why the council destroyed a lot of the redevelopment agreements that were put in place in the township this year. I was like, wait a minute, we don't need all these redevelopment agreements. This stuff that was happening out on Pointville Road, right, Wood Lane Road, with the warehouses that were going in there. They were all areas that needed redevelopment. Well, how'd they get that? Like, to Mr. Giverson's point, Evelyn Emmons' point, to the other family that's over there. Kramer's, right? Kramer's point, right? Mr. Giverson, who's the president of the AAC, says this all the time. It's like, how do you constitute an area in need of redevelopment if it's a farm field? There's nothing, there's no way to do that. Legally, in the way the statute sits, or A through F, I think it is, there's no way to do that. But since it's a UEZ, a part of the UEZ, now you can sit there and qualify under one of the statutes. And you can kind of manipulate what's happening there with that area in the redevelopment clause. Does that make sense?
It does, it doesn't really answer the question or the comment.
Well, going back to the comment and question you asked, council approves that, bottom line.
Right, but what I'm asking is, okay, you said that the person comes into the community development and they say, and we want a pilot program. Is there something that the community, sorry, we don't do pilot programs anymore.
Well, you
You
can
know,
do that.
do they already have an outline of what they can and cannot do?
They would get that from community development, yes, or the business
But community
administrator.
development, do they have an outline of what they
Yes, I
can and
believe they do.
cannot do?
Yes, I believe they do.
Okay, can you make sure of that?
I will definitely make sure of that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pat Giverson, 59 West Hampton Street. Good evening, everybody. Kind of funny, all the things we're talking about tonight, and Polbridge getting brought up quite a bit, and you know, I look at things a little bit differently, obviously, from my profession. And you know, you just brought up a lot of the points with the UEZ, the spot zoning that went on, an area that was in blight, which I would like to touch on again. Has there been a lien put on that property yet for code enforcement? Well, I believe Hovnanian ought to be charged for it, because it looks like hell. You got an eyesore, you got one now. You know, and unfortunately too, the surrounding farms there are gonna be dealing with a weed problem for God knows how long after this episode. It's a shame, it really is. Token two, to going from one council, what was done previously, to what you're now dealing with up there. You know, these things have consequences when these things are allowed to happen this way. The master plan, a little bit on that. You've done your work, you've put things in there. I mean, I listened to the planning board there the other night, and you know, there's a lot of good talk in there. But once again, who's to say that's gonna get followed? Because it sure as hell didn't get followed this last time from the other master plan, or there wouldn't be 150 acres of farm ground gone. But according to the state, once again, planning area 4, that whole road is supposed to be contiguous farm ground. That's the state planning. So, you know, you can write all the stuff down that you want. You can do whatever you want in the master plan. When you have unscrupulous people running an administration, it doesn't work, because they're gonna find ways around it. Simple as that. So we need to be a hell of a lot more diligent than what we have in the past. You know, like you said, you brought up a point, you know, about a well being over there that we possibly will get out of Polbridge. And people probably aren't gonna like to hear this. I'd rather seen Polbridge developed than that farm ground. You got infrastructure there. They were gonna add to the infrastructure, the developer. That was a win in that sense, in comparison to the debacle you got over here on North Pemberton Road. It shouldn't even be done. You know, we inherit one well, we give another one away. I know you got something out of it, but once again, taxpayers paid for that, and that's ridiculous. So that was one of the points I wanted to make, but going through the items here that we have. Question on the fence too, I think we kind of discussed that. Yeah, I mean, we have to redo an entire fence line. That seems kind of absurd. The other one I had too, and this goes back, and I know Mr. Harper had addressed it for the uniforms for Public Works. Now, on 3/34/2025, we also have another authorizing purchase of uniforms for $6,600. Do these two coincide with each other, or is this something totally different? Okay, okay. Well, we seen, well, we have, another police uniform in here too, on new business. So that's why I was questioning all the uniform things.
Yeah, the one that's a resolution is also uniforms for the township employees, but they picked and choosed out of the bid to get the best for the bite, you know, this guy was lower on one part of it, and the other guy was lower on the other part of it. They put
All right.
all out the bid, and that's how it came out.
Two separate different,
Yeah.
Suppliers for the same. Okay.
Yep.
All right, no, that's fine.
Yep.
Just the way it was, double in here, I kind of questioned it. And I guess that was the other one. One of the things here too is on this USDA Community Facilities Vehicle Purchase. So you're saying we spent $234,000 on a vehicle. I know you said this went to other parties and departments. How does that work through a USDA grant?
I don't know all the details, Pat, but they had it all pre-approved, what they were allowed, they got a list, what they were allowed to buy.
Okay.
And everything was pre-approved, and, once it started, it went smoothly.
All right, well, just, once again, usually grants or these funds coming in are specific. That's why I'm curious.
Originally it was for something else, and it was gonna run out on timing because that wasn't happening.
Okay.
So, like I said, thanks to many employees here, they got together and they worked, they met with USDA first, Rosemary Flannel
Right.
did.
Rural development.
And got a list of things they were allowed to buy with it, and all the other departments, made
Okay.
a wish list, if you would.
All right, this wasn't anything to do with the other grant that we pulled from USDA for the water over here when we tried that
No,
all around.
no,
All right,
no.
that's fine.
Totally separate.
Very good. One other one too, on the, new business coming up, the Redesk yearly software, or Rec Desk. I don't ever remember this coming up before, so is this something new, that this is a new subscription for our new recreation director? That seems like that's costing us half the budget.
It doesn't say in the information that it's whether it's a renewal or just a first time thing, do you know?
Pretty sure it's renewal. I believe that's what they use for the booking of the facilities and some of the other things they do. They've been using this program since I've been here.
All right, well, once again, I never recall it coming on new business unless this has went up and it's over the $3,000 threshold. Because I don't ever recall seeing it on any of them, I've been here for quite a few meetings. Well, I guess that's about it for this evening, and I wish all of you a happy and Merry Christmas. If I don't see you again before then, I will be out of town for a little bit, so we'll see you then. Take care.
Thanks, Pat.
Pat Guthrie, 317 Birmingham Road. Hello, Councilman. My only concern is under the resolutions 329, 2025, the updated 2025 personnel policies and procedure manual. I've been trying to get it all read. There's one page, which I think there should be more based on what we've gone through in the past year. On sexual harassment. Nowhere in here does it specify, it talks about supervisors, how supervisors should be with employees, but it doesn't say anything about elected officials. I think somewhere along the line, if you all had a chance to sit down and read it all, I would suspect that you would have at least made the attempt to read the section on sexual harassment. that it should be more detailed and less blanketed, and specify in there as far as what the retribution and the repercussions would be against a elected official sexual harassing any of the employees. You know, it's kind of hard when the employee has to report to HR or just the business administrator. They should have another out or someone to be able to confide in. For example, we don't have a business administrator. So where else do they go? What else would they do? Who do they have to confide in? So if you guys can, before you kind of say, okay, this is acceptable and just pass it through, maybe take a look at it and look at our history of what's been going on and say, hey, maybe we need to like detail this a little bit more and, you know, make sure the employee is doing what the employee is doing. And when we say that they can report to such and such, well, what do they do when there is no such and such as has been an administrator for them to report to? It should be detailed in here on what the employee can do. So I just don't think this should be passed just yet until it is more looked into and everything that you guys want to do to protect the employees is actually specified in it. Thank you and have a very Merry Christmas.
Mr. Council President, if I may, just to add some clarification, the employee manual revisions that are being made throughout all the municipalities in the state. The Joint Insurance Fund recommends language in the policy, and that's the insurance company that covers us in the event of an issue. So that is suggested language from the insurance carrier, and we make those suggestions. Now, the other point is how much is covered by elected officials. They're really guidance for employees as opposed to elected officials. It does not specify the consequences of an elected official who might engage in sexual harassment. We've seen, unfortunately, the history behind that. Nothing in a policy would have prevented that, and it results in lawsuits, unfortunately. But your personnel policy is for personnel, not covering elected officials' conduct, but employees and supervisors.
So this is basically like throughout the state, the policy for the
Every
state?
municipality has this as a result of their being insured by their various joint insurance funds. So almost every municipality throughout the state is right now, this time of year, updating their personnel policy manual as a result of suggested changes in language that has come down from the insurance carrier. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't add to it, and some of the things that you have suggested might be something for further thought. I just wanted to clarify that the reason why these changes are being made is to keep up to date with what the insurance carriers have requested and suggested.
Okay, because like I work for the federal government.
Mhm.
I not only work for the Army and the Air Force, but I'm retired National Guard in the
Right.
Personnel Department.
That's wonderful.
And one of my major things was reviewing regulation and making sure that they were interpreted properly, which
Right.
it's very, very hard to interpret federal regulations.
Yes.
But this is minuscule. One page for governing sexual harassment compared to, I had a whole regulation, a bulk binder that was at least 2 inches thick for the federal government. So this, what did they do, like crunch it down to make it, okay, let's fit this all
Apparently
on
so,
one
and that's
page.
rarity in the state of New Jersey, but I just wanted to put in context the reason why the resolution is on. It shouldn't wait. In other words, we shouldn't table it. It should go forward so that we can meet the request of the insurance carrier. But it doesn't mean that we can't add to it and supplement it in ways that protect the municipality and its employees.
Okay,
And your
because I highly
suggestions,
recommend that this
well, I'll
goes
tell you,
through and then be supplemented.
certainly it's the pleasure of the mayor and council, but you sound like a wonderful resource to suggest areas of change to that part of the policy.
Plus one thing you forgot to mention is we did have our labor council review this.
It was another layer, but that's the reason why it's being done now. I'm just saying to the council, don't hold off on adopting it at this point. We can always add to it, but we don't wanna miss the language that's been suggested to us already.
Okay, I definitely can see your point, and yes, something's gotta get.
But thank
through.
you for yours.
But, I would definitely be happy to supply input and where I would put additional information.
I'm
in
sure
here.
the governing body would be happy about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Pete King, 247 Amherst. All right, to start off with, since we have a whole bunch of new elected officials in the state, I'd like to remind everyone to start writing them and have them talk about the fair funding formula for the schools. And I don't know how the township is going to get hit with the new health insurance that's coming down, but the schools are gonna get hit kind of hard with that, so we have to pay health insurance, and you know how expensive that can get. So, those are some extra expenses that y'all are gonna have and we're gonna have. The other thing is, we have a bunch of winter events coming up in the school system. I accidentally left my sheet with them all listed at the house, so it's sitting on the printer, sorry about that. But if y'all listen to Channel 19 or go to the school's website, it'll let you know. And also with it getting darker earlier and the late buses, please watch out for the kids getting on and off the bus. When the arm comes out that says stop, please stop, don't try to go around it, because I've seen that already once. Because we just need to really talk about the safety of our kids. And then as far as this month, or on the 13th of December, up at the General Doyle Cemetery, they're gonna be holding Wreaths Across America. That's gonna happen at noon. That happens every year, where everyone's invited to go up there and grab some wreaths and help honor our veterans that are no longer with us by placing a wreath on their graves. And for a standpoint, the cannabis store that's over there across from the Wawa, they promised a lot of revenue when they were here doing their bidding. 12 million. 12 million. I was just wondering how much of that revenue has actually materialized and helped our coffers at all. Probably get about $88. And that's pretty much my questions there. I hope everybody has a happy, safe new year. I'll try to be here on the 17th. Oh, the last thing, the reason I wasn't here last meeting. The scouts, last month for Scouting for Food, we collected over 2,300 pounds of food items, and we filled the Christian Caring Center's food bank, and we filled up the Browns Mills United Methodist Church food banks. So, which was a great thing in our community, so. All right,
Pete.
y'all. Yeah.
Josh, can I ask a question? Since you opened the door, I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I don't expect you to give me a hard, fast answer on this. But for the past 8-10 years, we've seen 9% increases in school taxes in this town. I was kind of looking forward to a break in that and getting a little bit of breather. And what you had said reminded me, I'm hearing vicious rumors about the healthcare costs going up through the state, and the school was tied into the state. And I'm hearing these nasty, nasty rumors saying the school board may be raising school taxes 20 to 30% next year.
Oh, I haven't heard that number yet. So
Okay.
I've not heard that number, but unfortunately, we're very short when it comes down to the actual numbers for, we budgeted, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the amount or not, but
No.
we budgeted X amount of money, and right now we're about 3.2 short of what we budgeted.
Right.
So, and that's just a rough number. not
Yeah,
an
it's
exact.
just, I understood the 9% and it was gonna go away, and then when I heard this outrageous number, I was like,
Yeah. So I have not heard that number yet, so I would hope not, but I do
Yeah,
know.
and I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I do know we're gonna get, we are getting hit really hard by the insurance rate hike, so. All right.
Yeah, just a little on that, since we're on the school tax thing. When I was down at the League of Municipalities, there's supposedly a bill that they're starting to get together now to up your 9% that you are allowed to go to anywhere between 16 and 18%. Now, that bill may not go anywhere, but, it's in its infancy is what I was told down at the League of Municipalities.
Again, we need to actually contact the Congress, our new congressman, our assembly people, everyone in the state. If you can send them a letter and talk about the fair funding formula, then that would help offset what we pay here in the township. So the state needs to fix the fair funding formula.
Yeah, and as far as the cannabis, I don't have an actual number, but below what we were promised, that's all I can say.
Pete, do you know, I'm sorry, are you done?
Yes.
What the enrollment for the township schools is this year?
Between 5,000 and 6,000 kids total.
What was it last year, do you know?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but we normally study between 5 and 6 for the most part, I think. Obviously the township would, these are just numbers off the top of my head, so.
I'll take a look. All right, thanks. 41?
Okay.
Wow, so that's a far cry from when I was in school.
So it's down, okay, so it's down. Sorry about that, it was off 5,000.
It's all good. I'm putting you on the spot, so that's fine, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Thank you, Pete.
So, anything else? No? All right. Y'all have a great week.
Joe Anderson, 41 McBurg Avenue, Browns Mills, New Jersey. Since you was just talking about the schools, I might as well start there. I just went to a planning board meeting last week, and I just found out about the schools. I didn't even know these schools are closed. Stackhouse, Harkawali, Isaiah Haynes.
Stackhouse is still open, the other two aren't.
Do they have kids in them, or are they open for something else, or? Laurel Hill, Isaiah Haynes. Well, yeah, I took a ride up there this weekend and looked around, and it's just abandoned, and there's lights on. We're still paying, I guess, for that. Gotta keep the heat on. So what's gonna be done with this property once, does Pemberton Township own the property? Does Board of Education own it? So how do we, there's a big piece of property right there in this township. That's, in the future, if you're not looking at it, you should be looking at it. Because them schools are not gonna stay there probably. So I would be looking at this property pretty hard. And then I'm riding around there and I see all these playground equipment. It looks kind of brand new. Why isn't that going to the Blueberry Manor or whatever, all this playground equipment? It's just sitting up there in the schoolyards, empty. So what was that money spent for? Who spent the money for all that?
Hold on, Joe. So you gotta remember, the way we're set up, the school board of Pemberton Township is its own municipality, right?
Yeah, they need all that money, right?
Hey, man, yeah, I agree with you, Joe.
Yeah, now he needs more money, he's 3.2 million short. Yeah, I wonder why. Keep spending more money, just like the school bus garage over there. You ever ride by that school bus garage and see how many school buses sitting there during the day? Anybody? Ride by there and see how many school buses. You just talked about how many kids are in the school now. How many buses are we paying for, sitting there, not being used? Does anybody ever take a count? Anybody go take a look, the waste of the money? He's 3.2 million short. Now, you're gonna need to raise school board taxes. Yeah.
You gotta go to the school board meeting, Joe.
Yeah, I should. I'll be thrown out of there for sure. Get back on this Tractor Supply. I totally agree. That's not a good spot. I would like to see a Tractor Supply in the township, somewhere, maybe down by Williams paving, where Williams paving was. I think that would be a good spot, or further down Lakehurst Road. I think, I would love to see a Tractor Supply, but don't stick it right across from O'Brien and Sons. That's a slap in the face to them. It really is. I think it's just a slap in the face for all the years that they've been there. That would be like putting another hardware store right across from them. I mean, that's just not right. The thing I would do about this grocery store that they promised, I wouldn't demand that they put a grocery store there. I want to see a grocery store. I wouldn't mind if there was a grocery store there, but I wouldn't say that they had to, because I think, like I said, the school property could open up someday. You got Bryan County College down here, this property down here might open up to Pemberton Township. Might be a good spot for a supermarket right there, instead of housing, which I heard at the planning board meeting. So, that's about it, I guess. We got one more meeting in December?
Yes.
All right. That's about it. Thanks. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody in general. I want to thank you, the township and the police department, with all the officers we serve tonight. I want to know, when I finish my speaking, that somebody can answer me, how many officers that make it with those 5 or 6 officers we have tonight? Okay. Now, I know that somebody brought about the cannabis business in town and whatever in the borough, whatever they are. I recall coming in here and hear the administration or the council were saying, oh, the million we were getting in there. And guess what? It looked like you plant the potato. 6 plant the potato. I plant. And the animals under the ground ate my the potato. That's mean when I went and looked for my potato, guess what? Nothing in there, sick. And that's where we are standing right now. They believe the promise they make. We already got the drug problem in this town. We do not need anymore. We need a grocery store. I'm going to be honest with you. I go to ShopRite Medford. I may spend more gas. I look for the sales. When I go to Acme, because I'm very desperate in the last minute, I knew I cannot go to Medford. Okay? Wyden. 46 years ago, I arrived in this township, 11/29/79. Now I can say I'm 46 years in this town. I recall to go to Wyden, to our banks, because I came from Mercer County. And today, I go to Wyden. It's not the Wyden I used to go. Okay? And I recall when I came in here 46 years ago, the Pemberton Township was booming. Was no empty building in business. Everything was full. You can get anything you wanted. And one by one went down the hill. I don't know why. We chased them out or whatever. We continue blame the base. Okay, number one, I stated to the previous administration, to the mayor, and I recall, I asked him, Mr. Mayor, we are borderline with the base. We communicate with the head one there. If we want it, we got problems, we can bring it to them and they can help us. But right now, since the 9/11 came, they block us off now. We're really up the creek now. I cannot go to the base anyway. Okay, now I'm going to put in the daycare on Lakers Road. I attend the planning board meeting and I hear what is going on in there. And like I stated in the past, in here, when this person purchased that property 25 years ago, whatever, when he did, was a home. Later on, they decided to put a commercial business in the front. But the worst part it is, the man is paying residential, sewage, water, garbage. How that person came in this place and asked for a commercial, and he has been paid residential. No wonder we are down the hill where we are supposed to charge people. I know how many houses and homes are here in Pemberton Township right now. They are empty. Now, my question to the council will be, that every single house is empty in Pemberton Township are paying taxes right now. Because those houses are owned by the banks, they are owned, I got long to go, you gotta let me go, by the mortgage company. And when I walk in my development, guess what? Even the raccoons and everything coming out from the roof and coming out from the windows and everything. It's safe. Okay, now I'm going to touch on the Presidential Lake, All Lake store. It's a story there. They told me they was sold, that somebody went and get it. Now, what is up to there? I want to know. Okay, I want to know also in reference to the Yellow Bank. I stipulated Yellow Bank, Sycamore Hall. They is sold or not sold, and I just hope the township we can get it back. Let me just check. Okay. I was listening everybody what was speaking in reference in here tonight. A lot of things was touched. When the developers was coming to this town and promised us a store, we need the store. Acme, the sad part, it is ripping every single poor people in this town. They don't have too much choice because they don't have no cars. People drop them off and shop in there. We need a supermarket. We need an outlet store, or we need Aldi. They promise us a store, and this is what we want to get in here. No Tractor Supply, please. Tractor Supply is down a few miles down the road. People want to go buy stuff. Tractor Supply probably is in Whiting too. Anyway, we need the stores, and the people can go buy their food. Okay? And I want to know in reference to those empty houses. Everybody is paying. In reference to the Jiffy insurance company, for the first of the year, what is going to happen with an administration? I know I was told it's only the person who runs the business. Where is the business administrator? 1 year. Be ashamed of themselves. What is going on in here? I pay my taxes. Thank you. I want answers. Oh, before I leave, last 2 weeks ago, I brought it up to your attention that this resident from Presidential Lake was sick. He was not able to attend the meeting. He got 2 questions. The questions I asked to the township was, in reference to those go-kart, golf cart and whatever. And then the second question was, where he lived, the neighbor next door put a camera facing to his house. That's illegal. Thank you. I want an answer in those two questions. I don't worry about the other one.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you.
The two questions, I actually have a question along the same line with America. I had a constituent in Presidential Lakes that lives back by the pit that has a picture of, I guess there's a Verizon or cellular site out there or phone line site out there by the pit entrance in the back of Presidential Lakes that has a video camera that actually yells at you if you get too close.
Clean Communities approached me a while ago. They get money for some of these clean community things. And there's been a lot of dumping back there in the pits, and there's a lot of dumping in the forest, period. As one resident says, they wanted no littering signs and some other things. The Clean Communities came up to me and they wanted no littering signs so they could put them out there, and we approved that. The other thing they found was a camera system that they could put out there, and it could record these people illegally dumping. And we could use that when we go to prosecute these folks. What we didn't realize is it did have a voice-activated thing in it, and I guess it did scare quite a few people out there. As soon as I found out about it, I requested Public Works to go out there and turn that feature off, and I have personally verified that it is turned off.
Okay, because I talked to a guy last week, Jack. The reason why I'm bringing this up, I was having my car fixed over at Wrightstown, Birds Automotive, and I won't mention his name, but he showed me the video, and the video recording was last week. And then the camera, apparently they turned the camera, but now when he takes his dog out in the backyard to go to the bathroom, it yells at him all the time. So maybe we can take a look at that feature one more time, because I don't think it's turned off.
I went out there and it was off when I was
Really?
out there. Yeah, I mean, I walked around in front of it and it didn't go off.
It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I can have them double check to see that something didn't short, I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty aggressive. It's funny.
I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, you know?
As far as the lake, what was the other one, the lake store? What was this question?
No, I don't worry about it, the latest store.
Yellow Bank?
I'm worrying about it, the golf cars. And I'm
Golf
worried
carts.
about it, the camera.
Okay, so it was the golf carts. I didn't understand the golf carts thing, I'm sorry. So from what the only thing I can say is golf carts would be illegal on our streets, is that correct, or an ATV?
As a matter of fact, I think one of the last things the last administration did they pass an ordinance?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Where they could confiscate the ATVs if they were riding them up and down the street.
Yeah.
So there are mechanisms in place for them to be, you know, it's just, I mean, it's a big town and our cops are continually going to call. I know they've been stepping it up out in PL because some people have been asking for, more patrols out there during the school period and some other things. The golf carts, there's new high-fangled, golf carts now that are very, very expensive. That are street legal, that you can get licensed, excuse me?
They must be licensed and insured to be operated on.
Right, they have to be under 25 mile an hour, I think, isn't it? And there's procedures for that. And I know there's one or two out in PL, I don't know if they're licensed or not. But I've seen golf carts, I mean, it is PL.
There's way more than one or two. I live out in PL.
I'm trying to be politically correct for a change.
It's not a problem for us, but there's way more than one or two.
And as far as the video cameras on your property, as my understanding, and I believe I talked to the chief about this, if the camera's pointed to the property, it's not illegal. You're securing your property. If you have the camera pointed directly inside somebody's window of their house, that's a problem. And I have a lawyer here, maybe he can correct me or.
Okay, I would frown upon it. There's always been a question in New
Mike.
Jersey law about keeping
Mike.
there's always been an issue in New Jersey law with regard to, what they call peeping Tom laws. And, so I'd have to revisit that area once again. But there's a question about expectation of privacy too. And so, you know, if a person has their window open, they don't have curtains in a window, there's nothing that prohibits the person from their own property looking into somebody else's property. But I would certainly frown upon it, it doesn't make for good neighbors.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, like my property and a lot of the properties out in PL and some other districts in the town, the houses are on 1/4 acre, 3/4 acre lots or bigger. So the distance between houses is 30, 40, 50 feet. And some of the new construction, the distance between houses is 6 to 8 feet. So there's a big difference there, and that is a factor as well.
Thank you.
Michelle, forgive me 2 minutes, I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll talk about it while you're gone. Are you starting the timer now, Amy?
Yeah, sorry, 5 seconds.
Is she timing something?
Oh, yeah, time's everybody.
Okay. I don't know if she times it. Mr. Gardner would always wait till you sign the book to start the timer. Okay. Michelle Foreman, I gotta talk fast, I got a lot of stuff to talk about. Okay, so first, has anybody, first question is, has anybody, looked into whether or not I can have a video and audio on my CDs? That's number one. Number two is, well, I just wanna make a comment, Mr. Anderson. Okay, and I also want the public, you know, people are listening to this on YouTube with Alex and the Township, right? So I just want the public to know this, because they might not know. The school playgrounds are open to everybody off school hours. They're open until 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, I would do physical therapy at the school playgrounds at night sometimes, and I would go to that school and I would use the monkey bars when I got paralyzed to learn how to walk, and I would use the monkey bars to walk. But you can do so much there. You can walk in the fields, you can, you know, do all kinds of fun things there. You could bring your kids there. The kids are allowed to play basketball there. So I just want to mention that for people if you don't know it or not. And the other thing is, yeah, I want to know if I can, you know, I don't want the dumbed down version of the audios. I want the videos as well. I want to see what we can do about that, so if anybody has an answer, I had brought it up last time. The other thing is December 8th, the watershed meeting. I would like to know, whoever brought that up, if they could tell me where, when, December 8th, what time. The other question I have is, Josh, I heard a rumor that you might be having a town hall meeting soon. I gotta write that down, because I almost missed the master plan meeting at the planning board. Well, I was kind of planning on going, but I didn't quite understand what was going on at first, so I want people to know that there was a meeting, Monday, okay. Not last Monday, the Monday before that, I think, about the master plan, and it was right here on the planning board night at 7 o'clock. And just wanna let people know who are watching also that that's open to the public, right? You can go there and you can talk, and there was comment about the master plan. I made a few people made some comments on it. Looking forward to see when the next one is, and I hope it's more advertised more, because the last meeting there weren't very many members of the public going to that very important master plan meeting, you know. Let me see, Harry was there though. I think Mr. Dewey was there though, because he was on the planning board. Okay, so that's a few things. About the development. You know, people talk about, oh, I'm not for development, I'm for development. I know one thing, let's fix what we have here. They're talking about we need the Greenboro because, well, after all, we need affordable housing, so we have to destroy a farm. But the truth of the matter is, and they say, oh, but these, what I'm talking about tonight, oh, they don't have what you call deed restrictions, so we can't count that, but we have so many affording housing places around here in the park. That's why I'm against condos, I'm against, townhouses. I go around looking at these places, and you drive around, and their dumpsters are always full, they're not maintaining. The place over here, it's an apartment complex over here by where you live, North End Park or something, you know, the apartments. University Park. Their dumpsters are always full. It's not a pleasant place to go to. People are blaring their music, there's no place the kids to go out in the front yard and play, because people are walking their dogs up and down, you can't let the kids play outside. Very nasty. I'll tell you one thing, if we do have anything like that around here, we gotta really monitor and make sure the trash gets out, make sure there's a place for kids to play, you know, make sure there's a dog park so the kids can play out in the grass. It's crazy. But we have Amsterdam, we have 2 by Country Lakes, we have 2 motels in Browns Mills, we have 1 across at McDonald's, we have then, again, the Lake Valley, there's others on 38. I call it 38 because I don't know, North Pemberton Road down there, up the street from your house more.
South Pemberton.
South Pemberton Road, thank you. And, okay, so I just wanted to say that real quick, the Acme, who owns that? Does Pemberton own that Acme Center? Did Horizon pay for it yet? We bought it for $3 million, that's how much it costed us.
3.2.
Who paid for the
9
clean,
million.
what? Who paid to have the toxic waste cleanup? Was it the Horizon or the Township? Are we, gonna pay, Horizon to develop that? And, as far as the Tractor Supply, that is the worst thing this town could ever do, is have a Tractor Supply there, and if anybody votes for this, I may never talk to you again. As forgiving as I am, because those people have been there since the first day I came there, those people, and I'm talking about the entire O'Brien family. They're wonderful people, they treat the residents so well. You go in there, they will help you with everything, you call them, they will help you with everything. And that would be a crime to put them, to have that there, or anywhere near there. And like somebody said earlier, there's a Tractor Supply right down the street here, it's easy to get to. And, the thing on here with the master plan, with the playground, they're talking about, Blueberry Manor tonight, they wanna put a park there, or what, a playground or whatever. When Junction Road came here, when they wanted to do development at Junction Road, they said they were gonna put a playground there. So why do we need a playground over there? There's a playground at the school, why are we spending all this money in a playground at Blueberry Manor? If it is a playground, I think I heard it was. I just wanna remind people that, oh, there's something going on, wait. I'm almost done here. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I loved your talk tonight, Mr. Doyle, that was great. You know, if we can have you behind us, the public, the people, it would be such a great, you just have such a commanding force behind you. I have been here many, many years, and when you led that meeting that night, I don't know how many times you did it, but one time I did remember you being where Josh is, you did such exceptional job up there, exceptional. And I'm not discrediting Mr. Ward because I love him too, but, you know, anyway, that's it. I think that's all. I want to congratulate the police officers also. I think that might be it, okay? So I have questions, if somebody wanted to answer those questions about the Acme, if you need to be reminded what my questions were, I'll be happy to remind you.
Can I answer one, I think I have the answer for the remediation of the soil over there. I
Yeah.
believe there was an escrow established with Mr. Berardi that took care of a lot of that remediation. So it was actually Mr. Berardi that paid for that, if I remember correctly.
So what you're saying is you're not 100% right? You're not 100% sure? Because
I'm probably about
sometimes you say,
95%.
I think,
I'm
but-
probably about 95% sure that was out of escrow for Mr. Berardi.
Okay, I will fact check all these answers, by the way. I will fact check them. Thank you, though. Okay, so who owns it? Anybody know?
We own it.
Pemberton Township owns it, and I think we're into it for, what we paid Mr. Berardi was 3.2 million.
So we own it. So what does that mean?
We own it.
So we're gonna pay Horizon to develop it?
Hopefully they're gonna pay us if they wanna do the right stuff.
But they didn't pay us yet.
No.
But we definitely want them to pay it. We're not gonna, pay them to develop it, right? They're gonna pay us to buy it,
I
right?
think those days are over, we're trying to make money.
Okay, so they didn't pay for any of this yet, but we're voting on it tonight, okay?
As far as the watershed meeting, you got your pen ready?
Yep.
The
Yes, I
watershed-
do.
The watershed meeting.
Make sure you talk loud.
Is December 8th, 6:30 PM at the senior center.
Okay,
Okay? No problem. Hope to see you there.
okay, anybody remember any other questions? Is there gonna be a playground or a park at this Blueberry Manor that you're voting on tonight? Is it a playground or a park? Or is that the same thing?
It's to accept grant money to replace a playground that used to be there.
Grant money for a playground?
Yeah.
And are the Junction developers still gonna put a playground there? Or they agreed to do it earlier, when they wanted to come here and develop property next to two schools?
Well, this was.
Cut down all the woods on 5 acres? They said they were gonna put a playground, so now they're off the hook, they don't have to make the playground.
This was an existing playground that the township took out because the equipment was run down and we're just putting a new playground in there.
Why do we need a
Right
playground?
now, as it sits, Michelle, it's an open piece of land that belongs to the township. It's not able to be utilized because there's nothing on it. So what we're gonna do is return it back to the status that it was so that the kids in that community can use it.
Isn't that also Green Acres? I believe so.
Okay, but is Junction Road developers still gonna put a playground where they said they were going to, when they cut down the 5 acres of trees to put development over there? Apartments and townhouses that we don't need? Are they still gonna put a playground in that plan? Does anybody know before you vote on this?
You'll have to see when they come to the planning board. They haven't come back to the planning board, so we have no idea what they're doing.
How come you're shaking your head no? Yeah,
Well, he's on the planning board, so I guess he.
They're not putting, I think they might be giving the township some money towards it, but they're not putting a playground in. There's some type of land swap or something stupid as usual.
okay, this doesn't make sense that we're gonna put a playground there when the Junction Road developer said they were gonna put a playground there. And there's a playground right by the school. There's actually 2 playgrounds at the school people can go to.
Well, Michelle,
I
let's
mean, we
talk,
might get a grant, but come on, let's face it, do we have to pay the grant back? It's not gonna cost us any other additional money, no studies or anything, but go ahead.
you like to do research the Acme
No, I don't, but
from
go ahead.
1982 to 2022, and see how much money that the township has invested in that property. And then he said that we just paid, what, 3.2 million, and they sold it for 2.7 million. Well, another great deal.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. It was great to see everybody this evening.
See you too.
Arlene Alexander, for Chickmont Run in Browns Mills. So the only thing I wanted to say is that for the 3/33/2025, so I am a construction project manager and I work with Consolidate still a lot on a lot of my construction projects, which are at JFK, North LaGuardia, and the George Washington Bridge. So when you're dealing with a company like this, they're not gonna come in and patch up a fence. You have to do the whole fence over because of their work and their company. It's not like you replacing a panel at your house. So, and that is probably why the cost is what it is. And I've done a lot of work with them. I don't know if you did quotes, but usually their quotes are the lowest when I work with them. I always go out for bid. So, and they usually come up the lowest. So if this was out to bid and this was the lowest, it's probably because they're not gonna come in and redo someone's work or add their work to someone else's. They're just gonna do the whole thing over. So I just wanted to say that, maybe clear that up, because I know there was a lot of questions about that. And being in construction and knowing this company, I don't think that's a outrageous price. And I'm also in sustainable construction. I do a lot of LEED projects.
If I could, sir.
Good job.
Ma'am, in this instance here, there were two bids submitted to us that we got to look at. We actually went with the one that was ballpark $1,000 higher, I believe it was. The reason they did that, and Mr. Kurth explained this to me very well, the reason they did this was because there's one portion that had to be custom built, and the lower price did not include all that custom work. We would have had to outsource to another company to cover that area. And as Public Works investigated and saw, it would have been significantly more than the $1,000 extra by going with the contractor that they chose, which is why the bid before you was the one that was accepted, but it wasn't the lower. So you actually got more bang for the buck at this number.
Yeah, I believe that, this company is very good.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, council, mayor. I'm here about a request.
Sir, can we trouble you for your name for the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My name's Sandell, Gene Sandell, 45 Dakota Trail. Before I get into this, I might just say that it's been very intuitive coming to this meeting tonight, and I believe I will be coming back more often. With that said, I've lived in this township for 26 years, almost 30 years. My family's paid a lot of service to this country. I have paid service to this country. And when people who don't know you put you in a position where you have to defend yourself, it's not right. Now, someone who doesn't even live near me complained about my tractor. I have a tractor trailer. Now, I've been in business for quite a long time. But before I tell you what I'd like, let me give you a little history on myself. I've been working since I was 9. My mother had a brain aneurysm when I was 11. At that time, I
11 years old, had to come from New York, take care of a house, go back on a Sunday, come down on a weekend, go back, take care of my mother with a brain aneurysm. At the house, I had to do everything. Anything that you can think of that you have to do with the property, I had to do it. At 11 years old. That was my life till I was 25 or so. At 27 years old, I built, or better yet, I got into the ice cream business. I had an ice cream truck. The money that I made from that truck, I was supposed to go into a recording studio because I'm a musician, but I never did. I loved the business that year so much, and what the kids did for me, that I took the money, bought another truck, an empty truck, completely empty. In the dead of winter, built another ice cream truck, completely from scratch. I had 2 trucks. Left Jersey Shore, spent time in Trenton, did it for 5 years. My business thrived for 5 years. I had to stop my business because now my father had cancer. So what did I do? The truck sat, I went back to New York, took care of him with cancer for 1.5 years. With that, when I left that route, the kids didn't know anything about what happened to Ice Cream Man. So that played on my mind while I was taking care of my father. So what did I do? I designed a 6,000 square foot arcade and video game store, which I had for approximately 10 years in Hamilton Township. And at the same time, my mother who survived, I took care of her now with Alzheimer's every day. She passed away. Before she passed away, I decided, you know, I think I'll get into trucking. So I get into the trucking business. I go down to Peterbilt dealer. I spec a truck. I didn't buy a truck off the lot. I designed a truck. Had it built at the factory. It was delivered to me. June of '96. I go to work. Over all this time, I also raise a family, 6 kids. Work hard. While doing that, my wife, who I'm still married to now, is disabled, completely disabled. She can't go to work. I am the sole provider for my family. Someone who doesn't know me complained about my tractor in my driveway, big double wide driveway. The reason I have that tractor there is because it's part of me, and it is my livelihood. Now, I don't know how much you know about trucking or whatever, but when things go wrong on that, it has to be fixed. I have to deal with it. My wife, I have to deal with at the same time. It's not like I can just leave and, you know, not deal with things. My point is this. I pay taxes, I follow the law, I've done everything right in my life. But because someone who doesn't know me feels that they can complain about my truck, and they don't even see my truck, they don't even live near me, I don't think that's right. Now, I understand.
Not to cut you off, but can I see that? Can I see the pictures you have there?
Absolutely.
What's our ordinance on this kind of situation, Jack? You know, off the top of your head?
Josh, you might remember when we first got elected, just before we got elected, there was an ordinance change, and the ordinance says no tractors are to be parked in a residential area, driveway or on the street. If you're farm zoned or GCLI, you can do it. I think PL is where you are, sir, is probably residential. And if you remember right, when we were first elected, there was some school bus drivers that were right outside this door, and talked to us because they were getting tickets because they drove their school buses home, parked them overnight so that they could go get the kids in the morning. And there was another gentleman here that night that drove, a tow truck driver, and he was under state contract, and he had a certain amount of time to go there and do what he had to do for accidents and stuff. And we were talking about looking at that ordinance and making some adjustments to it 3 years ago, and it still hasn't been done. And we've talked about it a few times. Well, the council, I don't change it, you folks do.
Right, yeah, because I would have to go to community development, right? Have you been to community development office, Mr. Sando? No. Okay. Yeah, so we got to impose an ordinance. I had brought that up a couple months ago, because somebody, the mayor's correct. There's been several different instances. There's actually a gentleman over in, my neck of the woods that works for Earl Paving and parks a commercial truck out on the residential street. And I've been lobbying for, the potential to see what we can do about this. We have another forklift driver in Country Lakes that has been cited for the same thing.
If I remember correctly, Josh, at one of the meetings before too, we had a tow truck company owner here who said the same thing, that having that tow truck accessible at their residence to get to an emergency scene right away is critical.
Right.
I mean, my thought, Josh, is like you said, if that's a vehicle like this gentleman's vehicle, I'm gonna make some assumptions, so forgive me. If his vehicle's legally registered and he's paying all the tags and all the taxes and everything else, he should be able to park that vehicle in front of his house just like I can park one of my vehicles in front of my house. The size, he pays an extra amount of money for registering that vehicle because of the size.
Right.
So the size shouldn't be a factor. Now, my only problem, and forgive me, I'm not trying to make any accusations to you, sir, is some truck drivers like to run their rigs overnight. And I don't know why, but if I was sitting there at my house and I heard my neighbor's rig running all night long, I probably would have a problem with that, but we have a noise ordinance that would cover something like that.
Absolutely. And my truck is a Peterbilt. I don't have to run it because I can plug it in and it stays on.
Is that a plug for the truck company?
Mr. Sandell, are you actively still engaged in trucking right now in the industry?
Right. Currently, right now, I'm actually working for the Township right now. But I do use the truck and do trucking.
Right.
So, for someone to complain, about that, I don't.
Josh, if I may, I know after that last meeting that Perry was speaking about, Roe, and I got a copy of the ordinance and stuff, and unfortunately Jerry's passed, but we were working on that, and I think it dropped through the cracks with the passing of Jerry. But, yeah, they are re-looking at it, and I believe, I don't know if you got a citation or not, because I believe they put all citations on hold, I could be wrong, until we
That's what I
rework
thought.
that ordinance, yeah.
Well, actually, I requested more time because the gentleman that gave me the citation told me to come to speak with you.
I would suggest going to community development, and because of this I believe everything's on hold right now,
Harry.
but check with her.
I think with you folks, the council, looking at this ordinance,
Right.
the ordinance is a law.
Yeah.
So we have to follow the law. So they did put a hold on it for a short amount of time,
Right.
but there was no action taken. So they had to start following the law again.
Okay, I don't know, like I said, I know it was being worked on. Go to community development, check with Rosemary Flaherty and see if she can, walk you through this.
In the meantime, would you mind asking the inspector not to write me a ticket?
Well, that's not within our purview, but,
But it is within hers.
Council President, maybe a solution is the council agrees that they're gonna review this within a certain
That's what I was just
amount of
gonna say.
time, and they then have council send an email to community development asking for the 90-day suspension of enforcement so that we can get a resolution or a change to the ordinance. Would that be appropriate,
Yeah.
Solicitor?
Yeah, I think under the circumstances, you could do that, advise that the governing body is reviewing the ordinance to make changes to cover the circumstances of the vehicles parking. Take that under
Yeah, so-
consideration. Do you have a citation now, sir?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mr. Sandell, did this, what I was gonna make the recommendation before the mayor, and solicitor gave their input, which is, thank you very much for that, gentlemen, but, I would say, make some time, go up and talk to community development, see what, the community development office is right down the hallway, when you come in, you make a left, it's on the left-hand side there. Since you didn't receive an actual citation, it's just probably like hey, look, this needs to be addressed. Talk to Rosemary or somebody in that office, see what's going on there, and what I will do is tomorrow morning, when I get up and go into work, I'll email the Office of Community Development and the current council president, because I'm just filling in. And I'll keep them both in the loop, and we'll talk with the rest of the council. I'll Mr. Harper in there, because we were working on something to get that rectified, so.
I appreciate it.
You're
And,
welcome.
I would just add, the mayor's absolutely correct. I mean, the law is the law. And this governing body, nor the mayor or anyone, can tell a police officer or code enforcement officer not to write a summons or to write a summons. However, they do have discretion. And I think with the information presented to them, they will exercise the discretion in the correct manner. If you were to receive a citation, if you will contact council, one of the suggestions I would make is that we just notify whoever the municipal prosecutor is to have the case adjourned in the municipal court so that we have enough time to address the orders.
That would be Marty Buckman.
Yeah, I know, I said that.
You would
It's
actually
our,
have time
a
to-
member of our firm is also the prosecutor, so it certainly would be appropriate to adjourn a case if you had one, but you don't have a citation, so that's.
No, not yet, but he only gave me an extension to the 10th, actually.
Well, I think with the additional information that they'll receive from the council, they can exercise discretion to extend it even further.
Okay, so
Okay.
you will.
Yeah, because all they want is compliance with the law. That's all that's being requested.
I would appreciate that.
Sure.
And, as I said before, coming to this meeting tonight was very intuitive. And after listening to a lot of the concerns that a lot of people have about your grocery store and things and so forth, if this can be rectified for me, I would have no problem if you do put a store on your property, because I understand that you own the Acme shopping lot. Is that right? So if you put a store there, I would have no problem pulling some of your freight for you.
We can't do a quid pro quo, that's.
We can't. We'll all be in trouble.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, it was a pleasure meeting you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good holiday.
You as well. Anybody else for public comment this evening? Yeah, we definitely need a 5-minute break. So we're gonna break for about 5 minutes, and we'll be back.